Have you ever wondered why the Nazis were able to conquer pretty much all of Europe so fast? Ever wondered why they were so obsessed with race and its implications? And even more so wondered why their explosive conquest faded so fast? Well, it can all be answered with pretty much one word of factoid about them. They were Coomers. That's right. They were all a bunch of Coomers. And through this video, I will show you how. To see why, we must first start off in northern Brandenburg. Good old Brandenburg. A land of bogs and sand, that through the Kingdom of Prussia managed to become almost the administrative center of Germany. And though Berlin may be busy, if you travel out just a bit, there is lots of green countryside and quaint villages to be found, ideal for any travels through the northern half of Europe. One of which is the town of Kumlösen, or Kumlåsen. Now, Kumlåsen may appear at first glance as any other normal Brandenburg town. It just has a funny name, so what? But if you delve deeper into it, specifically the town's history, you may start to see a concerning pattern related to the Third Reich, so to say. Ever since the creation of the German Empire, the town had steadily started to lose its population over time, likely to more urban centers and job opportunities as the Second Industrial Revolution came in full swing at that time. Many such cases. So while the population of the new German Empire and Brandenburg kept increasing, even well into the Weimar years, the town of Kumlåsen, or Kumlösen, kept losing more and more people. This is more or less a trend, until a truly massive spike shot up during the time of a certain Third Empire. Now, before you go wanting to say something against this, or, heaven forbid, reason it out with something else, let's look at a couple of facts. It's easy to make the argument that the fact that the population increased was because of the war that was going on, and that the administration thus needed more men for the capital and the surrounding areas near the central command than they had used for in peacetime. This seems an appealing argument against my own until you look at the details. During the last Great War of the Realm, for instance, while though the population experienced some more growth than the previous decline, this is nowhere near the amount that was experienced in World War II. In addition, the growth seen under Hitler started the moment he started leading the nation, long before any war was ever declared. So the argument that the population increased due to the war falls flat, as it doesn't stack up to the facts. The fact that Kumlåsen experienced such growth both before the war, and such an explosive growth during it, when men of all ages would be forced to go to the front and leave their homes behind, effectively depopulating the home front, carries my own argument even harder. All this points to nothing less than the deliberate repopulating of Kumlåsen by the current regime. Ask yourself, why else would they deliberately do such a thing, unless there was a point to my theory? But that's not all. Seen through this lens, a lot of other strange obsessions of the regime start making a whole lot more sense as well. Their Lebensborn program, for example, where they would strive to make the perfectly bred super soldier. Emphasis on the word bred. And needless to say, experimenting with such kinds of things, to the degree that the Nazis did, would have required a lot of you-know-what. That, and all the cross-dressing and homosexual parties they did, now also starts to make a whole lot more sense. As does the infamous Hugo Boss-style uniforms, as what better way to keep the army going than a bit of sodomy? At the very least, that was a point they could agree with the British on. And even if some of the stingier soldiers felt too entitled to participate in such, the German army was also famously the first to issue its soldiers with blow-up sex dolls. So take that as you will. The main man himself, Hitler, also famously only married his wife days before he took his own life alongside her. Now why would one want to do that until the very last end with someone you truly loved? Unless you didn't really love her and kept tons of women on the side, even through his last days in a bunker with his secretaries. Now, consider their rapid conquests and advance into the Soviet Union too. They even had a general named Model for them to use. And then consider how fast the invasion of the Soviet Union stalled once it started, after the failure of Barbarossa in 1941. What other thing does this remind you of? Where you stand at the top of the world, only to be dragged down to a stagnant, muddled reality. There is now no other way to view it. The Third Reich and her army went through this phenomenon literally. If that is not proof of their Kumari nature, that it manifests even in their military campaigns, then I don't know what does. All in all, I think this evidence is pretty damning, especially concerning Kumlusen itself. This becomes clear with the denazification of Germany, as ever since the start of the Cold War and a new era for all Germany, so too has its population shrunk back down to even lower than it ever was before. It is clear without a shadow of a doubt that the population shot up, and only shot up, through the meddling and interference of Nazi efforts to make clear their ideology. And once now revealed, it shows a critical new lens through which one should view the Third Reich in its entirety, and gives new meaning to the previously unconsidered decisions and their eventual fate. In short, the secret now revealed about these National Socialists and their reign all lie in the quaint little town of Kumlosen.
Jigsaw falling into place, so there is nothing to explain. You are each other as you pass. She looks back, you look back, not just